Since Peppa Pig is a show focused on Peppa and her friends, we usually don't think about the financial situation of the characters.
Money!
But have you ever thought about how there are some characters in the Peppa Pig universe who are absurdly wealthy?
Why are people always in a hurry?
One of the biggest mysteries in Peppa Pig is Miss Rabbit, who somehow manages to work almost every job available in the world of the show. We're not exactly sure how she pulls it off, and we even have some theories on the channel, like the idea that she could be an omnipresent entity, or maybe an actress just pretending to work. But just based on what we know, anyone who can handle so many different jobs would be getting a massive paycheck, since each job would pay separately. Miss Rabbit has at least 50 jobs, so she's likely making around 50 times more than most other adults in the show, like Daddy and Mummy Pig. If Peppa Pig's characters have a minimum salary of around $1,160, then Miss Rabbit's salary could be close to $58,000. And that's only counting the jobs we know Miss Rabbit has, since she's always appearing in a new role. She might actually be making double or even more. Plus, in one of her jobs, she produces the Super Potato TV show. Just that job alone must give a huge salary, showing that Miss Rabbit's fortune could be much bigger than we might imagine. Miss Rabbit definitely doesn't need to worry about saving, though I doubt she even has time to spend all that hard-earned money with so many jobs. But she loves working, so it's all good. And she's not the only one with a vault full of cash at home. Today, you'll find out who the 10 richest characters in the Peppa Pig universe are. So join us as we start another Cinewave. Now, if there's one woman who is undeniably rich, it's the Queen. Unlike Miss Rabbit, she didn't even have to work for it. The Queen is part of the British royalty and owns the majority of the country's wealth. The only thing this lucky lady had to do was be born. Since the character is based on the late Queen Elizabeth II, we can even get an idea of how rich she might be. Real-life Queen Elizabeth received a substantial annual budget from the British government, and besides that, she also gained great wealth through investments. At the end of her life, she had a personal wealth estimated at around £370 million, which is about $475 million. It's likely the Queen in Peppa Pig is just as rich. Wow, she probably has a giant vault with a sea of money, where she could swim like Scrooge McDuck. Madame Gazelle is just a teacher, and she probably doesn't earn much more than the other adults in the show, but we have reasons to believe her sisters deserve to be among the wealthiest characters in Peppa Pig. After all, her sisters have a music band called the Rocking Gazelles, and there are hints that they are quite successful since their house is filled with various music records. And as everyone knows, people who are successful in the music world often end up extremely rich, as their music reaches audiences worldwide. In real life, a rock star earns around $10 to $50 million a year. The funny thing is that Madame Gazelle was part of the band when she was younger, probably before the group became famous. Just imagine if she had stayed in that career instead of becoming a teacher. She would definitely be swimming in money now. But she chose a different path in life, and that's okay. After all, teachers are also incredibly important. Hash Brown is one of the celebrities in the Peppa Pig world. He starred in the Hollywood movie Vegetables in Space alongside Super Potato. In fact, Super Potato even got jealous of the fame Hash Brown was gaining. This means Hash Brown is actually a bit more famous than his co-star, at least in the United States. A Hollywood star can earn between $20 to $40 million a year, so it's clear he's got more than enough money. This suggests his wealth is similar or even greater than that of other celebrities like Super Potato or Mr. Potato, and since he's getting more attention in Hollywood, it's likely his wealth will only grow over time. But do you want to see the Hash Brown and Super Potato movie? If so, comment below with #potato. I bet the movie is amazing. The pirate from Peppa Pig also shows signs of being very wealthy. After all, he's hunted down countless treasures throughout his long life of ocean adventures. In the episode Police Station, we know he had a very valuable pirate treasure, but I doubt that was his only chest of gold. Even if it was, the police ended up returning the treasure to him. A chest full of ancient gold coins is worth around $18 million, so he's definitely richer than his clothes make him look. But since he's a pirate, it's pretty likely that all his wealth was stolen from others. Could he have even stolen from the Queen without her knowing? He'd have to be pretty sneaky to pull something like that off, but I honestly wouldn't doubt his skills as a thief. This would actually be kind of funny, since both the pirate and the Queen are some of the few human characters in Peppa Pig. Another character who might have more money than most is Daddy Rabbit. He's probably not actually rich, but there's evidence that he's in a pretty good financial situation. Besides working in an office with Daddy Pig, Daddy Rabbit also has a few side jobs. He's a construction inspector, museum artifact appraiser, botanist, train captain, and road inspector. He doesn't work as much as Miss Rabbit, his sister-in-law, but he still handles more jobs than most people, which has to bring in a good salary. Could working more than usual be something in the Rabbit family's blood? Or is it just a big coincidence that two of the rabbits in the the show have multiple jobs. Mr. Fox is a vendor, and his van is packed with a huge variety of items for sale. Supposedly, every item in the world can be found in his van, which means his vehicle might have magical properties. If that's not the case, it means that Mr. Fox simply has a lot of money to buy so many items, and since he buys these objects to sell, he must be selling them at a higher price to make a profit. In other words, he must have a lot of money in his bank account. We've also talked about the theory that Mr. Fox might be a thief, stealing things to sell. If that's true, his profit would be much higher since it would mean he's not spending any money to get his stock. But let's hope Mr. Fox is making his money honestly, just like Miss Rabbit. After all, I'm sure his son and wife would be really disappointed if they found out they were being supported by dirty money. In the Peppa Pig world, there are some supernatural beings like the Tooth Fairy and Father Christmas himself. Father Christmas in the series, just like the legends in our world, makes toys for all the good children in the world and delivers them on Christmas Eve. He has a workshop at the North Pole stocked with enough materials to make billions of gifts, which undoubtedly makes him one of the wealthiest characters in this universe. In his workshop, there are many elves working on creating presents. We don't know if they're paid, but since Father Christmas is a fair guy, they probably are. This makes him a sort of real businessman, with the difference that he doesn't receive any payment in exchange for gifting children, and he's been doing this for at least 100 years. In other words, Father Christmas has been using up his fortune to make children happy on Christmas, yet his money doesn't seem to be running out. Could he have saved up so much money from other work in the past that he doesn't even need to worry about going broke? It's also curious that the few human characters in Peppa Pig are all rich. Could this mean that the human elite were among the few to survive some kind of extinction or something similar? I think that would explain a lot. In fact, maybe Father Christmas could be the Queen's brother. This would explain his fortune. As a member of British royalty, he'd also be entitled to receive an annual income, which would be enough to keep supporting his North Pole toy workshop and his elf employees. Before we continue, why not hit the subscribe button to keep getting daily content about Peppa Pig and your favorite cartoons? We really appreciate your support. One of the wealthiest characters in Peppa Pig has to be Mr. Potato. After all, he's an extremely famous host in Peppa's world, and all the characters in the show watch his program. His face even shows up in Times Square in the episode where Peppa visits New York City, something that usually only happens with worldwide celebrities. As a star, Mr. Potato surely earns a very high salary. A famous Hollywood star earns around $20 to $40 million a year, and that's not even counting all the commercials he probably does. Each ad he appears in likely brings in big money for brands, which means he must be making a good amount from those deals as well. There are two living potatoes in Peppa Pig, and surprisingly, both of them are very rich. Super Potato, like Mr. Potato, is also extremely popular and hosts a TV show that's widely watched by the characters in the series. Even Mama Pig memorizes the lines from his episodes. Because of this, he likely earns a hefty salary and also probably makes a lot of money doing commercials for all sorts of products. As we mentioned, a famous Hollywood star makes around $20 to $40 million, but I bet Super Potato will only keep growing in fame and making even more. Super Potato also starred in a movie called Vegetables in Space, which probably paid him way more than his TV show does, especially since the movie was made in Hollywood, the heart of the world's biggest productions. If that doesn't convince you he's filthy rich, then nothing else will. The video is almost over, but we've left two amazing videos on your screen so you can keep enjoying. We're sure you'll love them, so just click on one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.